You're listening to the Rockland News Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Osa. Thanks for joining us today.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Dana Pest Control, third generation and family owned for over 40 years and counting. 845-786-5226 or visit them online at danapestcontrol.com.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the podcast today. So we have a very special episode. This is our first video podcast with our new software and everything that we're using, also for amrockland.com, which is our live stream every weekday morning at 7:30 in the morning. But I have two guests that we're going to play a game. It's called Cashflow, and it's done by this dude named Robert Kiyosaki. He's an author of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Some of you may be familiar with that book, but it's basically the basic essential tools of developing financial peace. And my guests today are Hopeton Scott from Scott Income Tax and Advisory Services, as well as my colleague and friend Joe Salvay from ISO Rockland. And we're going to be playing this game, and you can play it yourself if you want to follow along. If you go to richdad.com/cashflow, you could sign up for a free account, and you could play right from your computer. And think of it as a way of learning, I guess we'll say, teaching yourself financial education, and that is the starting point to developing financial peace. So without further ado, my colleagues, Hopeton Scott and Joe Salvay, and we're going to be playing the video game Cashflow. And thanks for joining us today. Put you in kind of like a picture-in-picture view. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play a game.
Yeah, play it against yourself.
Yeah, and Hopeton, if you can give us your advice all the way through so that we can get things done rightly.
Well, I'll give you my best if I can. Rightly.
Yeah.
You
All
don't
right.
need a password.
The password is $1 billion. No, the password is...
You don't need a password for the big one.
Oh, I didn't know that. All right.
You don't need a password anyway.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. All right, Joe, I'm going to leave this up to you. You're going to choose your dream. So
That's a tough one. I usually go just one click to the left,
one click to the left, all right?
and that's
Oh, okay.
yeah, it just it seems to work out pretty well. But
Wow.
I never really analyzed the dreams because that's not really, I don't know. I don't consider that to be part of financial freedom. Financial freedom is the ability to chase your dreams after you have financial freedom.
Ah, okay.
So if you're going to set up your dream beforehand, I don't know. I mean, that could work for some people, but if financial freedom itself is the goal, then it doesn't really matter which one you pick.
Yeah, and you've actually done some world travel. We're going to get into that in a future podcast on Rockland News. Okay, so then it's, the turn is up, and then
Just to look at your financial statement.
exactly, yeah. All
Hopeton,
right.
can you see that?
Yes, I'm seeing.
All right, so what we're seeing here is essentially an overall, if you will, a financial statement, and it's divided into 4 different areas. Obviously, what you earn from the job, or from the business, or from anything that you're putting in. We're going to say heavy duty, physical, intellectual, or emotional labor, if you will. Maybe sometimes spiritual, but let's just stick with the first 3. Income. And then you got your expenses, and you see this just so that everybody knows in Rockland County. I'm sure we can all relate to these expenses that are probably from like the 2000 era. So it's gone up just a tad, just a little bit, but that's why we're doing this today. And then we have our assets and liabilities, and that's more along the lines. And I'm going to turn that over to you, Hope, and talk to us about assets and liabilities.
Basically, at most basic, an asset is something that you own. But according to Rich Dad, an asset is something that produces money for you. And liability, on the other hand, is anything that you owe, OWE. So you own a house, you technically don't have an asset because, well, your name is on the title, but the bank is the one who owns the house.
Right.
Yep. So that's one of the reasons Kiyosaki was saying, your home is not really an asset.
Right.
You're paying for it constantly, right? But something that you own outright and that's producing money for you is an asset. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be an intellectual property.
Right. Exactly.
Something like that. And a liability on the other hand is what you're paying for, what you OWE. So the car you're driving that still has a note on it is a liability, right? The house you paid for is now an asset, not the one that you're still paying for. It's arguable. So basically, that's it.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that one of the things that a lot of people talk about, and something that we can all relate to, is obviously the car loan. So the car loan, if you buy right off of the lot a brand new car, 2025, it's going to be a little bit more costly. And they say that the best value is a few years into it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's what they say.
Like 3
But
years.
then again, it depends on your view. Like I said, an asset is something that produces money for you that you own. So for me, if I buy a car for $20,000, 2025 car, and I pay $20,000 for it, the argument is that once you drive it off the lot, it's losing 20% of its value. But for me, peace of mind. I know I have a car for the next 5 years. That's not going to give me any problem. So for me, it's worth buying a new car as against somebody else who may want to buy a certified used car 3 years into the life of the car. And that for them is a value. Well, that's why I say, depends on your view.
Yeah, absolutely. What we're going to do now is we're going to roll the dice. Now, just as a quick background, you're randomly assigned a different type of salary. It could be a teacher, it could be a lawyer, a doctor, accountant, community worker, really anything. And it's randomly assigned, but each one has a different type of quote unquote cash flow. How much money you're pulling in every time you get the paycheck. All right, so here we see it here. Total income is $3,300. Expenses, all of these right here, as well as these right here, they're all deducted from that income. And then you have what's your payday. That's how much money you can pull in. And right now you're saving $400. The next payday, that'll go up. So we're going to just roll the dice.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Lauren Molino-Muller from Hanna Rand Realty. Get a free guide to selling your house in today's market. Call Lauren today at 845-216-3712.
All right. And the goal of this game is essentially to get out of the quote unquote rat race and then go pursue your dream or make more money or blah, blah, blah. All right, here we go. And then usually we'll have a small or a big opportunity. Joe, what is the modus operandi for this?
So currently you have 400 cash in the bank or savings. So you wouldn't want to try for a deal that's bigger than 6,000. So you probably want to try for a small one.
Right, exactly. So we're going to go small. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over. You want to take it or? Yeah.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
So most of the deals that come through this game tend to be if the good ones tend to be above 5% cash on cash return. So you're putting down $4,000 on a down payment. You're probably going to want to see something like at least $200 in cash flow for 5%.
Yes.
So this one is a little bit on the lower side. It's not such a great deal, but I find that if you want to try and finish the game faster, you pretty much have to take whatever they offer you. So that's up to you. Whoever's playing the game should decide.
Yeah, it's taking the risk and deciding if that cash flow is going to increase this bar right here. And eventually, when you get enough cash flow, quote unquote, again, you get out of the rat race. I feel like I'm trying to be nice to the way that the game was written. But bottom line is you take this bar, you move it over, and then you have more money than the expenses. Hopeton, from your perspective, looking at this numerically, do you think that we should go for this deal?
Well, like Joe said, it depends on what you want. Remember now, when you're investing money or when you're trying to get out of debt, it all depends on the person. What is good for you may not be good for the other person. So somebody may just want to wet their foot in some kind of investment, and they don't really looking for that big gain, because what they're really trying to do is learn the process. So either way, if you're not gonna know that you make a mistake until you make the purchase or make the move. So like they say, you can't learn to ride a bike by watching a video. You gotta go ride a damn bike. Yeah. So there's no failure in life. You either succeed or you learn. So you could either buy or pass. If you buy and you realize that, oh scrap, this is a bad deal, next time you know what to do, you learn something. Joe has been playing this for a minute, so he's a little bit better than us at it. So he could explain and say, hey, this is not a good deal. Like he said, he find that the better deals are above 5%, which is not.
So another thing to consider here is that current savings, the cash amount is only 400, which
400.
means that if you click on buy, you'll see it'll offer you a loan.
Yeah.
At 10%, 10% per pay period. So you're going to be paying out $400 every pay period, and you're going to bring in, what was it, 160 or 140?
Yeah,
160.
yeah, it's like
So until you pay off that debt, it's gonna be an albatross. And
So you're going backwards.
No, it's going to be negative cash flow, because right now you're bringing in $1,170. So technically, I mean, you could afford it. Your payday would go down by $400 per payday, but you'd have to pass on some better deals that might come along.
Right. All right. So I think the general consensus, and we're saying it to the studio audience just to give it more context. And sometimes if we're looking at something just numerically, providing the context. So what both of you are saying is essentially that we shouldn't take this deal.
No.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to say no. All right. Okay. And then there's another way to roll the dice on this. You can also repay or borrow from the bank or your loans. Now, there's nothing really that we can afford to pay off, but note that is going to come into play in a few future rolls. So we're going to end our turn. Okay.
And if you were playing with someone else, this is when they would roll.
So now we got more money. We got 1570. We're going to take a small deal again, because as Joe mentioned, anything below 5,000, you want to kind of go that route. This is a stock, and if we owned any stock, the stock shares would split. That's my favorite. I got to tell you guys, there's this one, I don't know if we're going to encounter it, but there's this one thing that shows up that's pretty amazing as far as like a stock deal. And the turn, roll. All right, and this is the thing, like, the everyday living things. They show up, buy new speakers, everything, and pay out money. So we're going to go ahead and do that, because there apparently is no other choice. And then you keep on going. And this video game is available online. Okay, so here is, we'll talk about this. There's a stock that's available in this case. And the thing that I always look at, and there's 4 lines here: cost, cash flow, trading range, and share zone. Joe, which one do you always look at?
The cost.
Yeah. Bottom line, it's like $40. And then if you look at the trading range, that's its high. So, and then Hopeton, what do you think? Should we buy it or pass on this one?
I would pass.
Yeah, same here, right?
This podcast is sponsored by IV Rehab Physical Therapy, 845-579-5677.
All right, because we want to buy low and sell high. That's really what it comes down
That's
to.
the idea. How do you know when it's high?
Me on a Saturday afternoon. All right. Yeah, baby. All right. So this is what I was talking about. Is like the cost of this stock is $1, but check out the trading range, gentlemen. Oh, so what I do now, I don't recommend that you, studio audience, check this out in real life or do this, but I'm just like, I am going to eat Spam for the next 3 months. And I'm just going to buy everything with it. Bubble.
That's right.
So I would
Like I
go a
said,
little lower. I would have put
you
about
don't know if you make a
1,500.
mistake until you make it. So,
Well, you need a few bucks to get through the unexpected expenses.
Right.
So I would have
that's
done like
correct.
probably 1,500 at the most.
Yeah. Sometimes there is over leverage and we do not, it's not a wise move. Let's put it that way. It's a little,
It's okay. Hopefully it pays off. I mean, it's just a question
Right.
of how long it takes to pay off.
it's a little stressful. No,
Get your spam out.
Yeah, right. Okay. So here is where just looking back at the financial statement. So, we haven't paid any of these things off. We got this hanging out there, and just everybody that's watching this, put a footnote in this and let's see what happens. So we're going to roll the dice again. And as you get the hang of this, it gets more and more fun. We're going to go small deal. Okay. Back to you, Hopeton. Do you think that we should take the deal?
Let's take a gamble and take this deal.
Yeah, you're gonna
Let's
need to
gamble.
borrow.
Say again?
When you hit buy, it'll offer you a loan because he just spent all
Absolutely.
the cash. He just spent
Yeah.
all the cash on the penny stock.
Yeah.
So now
Okay.
we're looking at another $400 versus 160 cash flow.
Okay. So you're saying
Should we
not
take
buy?
the deal or not?
I would take it. Just take it and see what happens.
All right. Boom. So now everybody. Ah! All right. So I'm a little over leveraged, but we'll see what happens.
You see what happened? So that's the whole point of the game, Tom,
Yep.
is to see what's happening. Like I was saying, if you keep record of what you're doing, eventually you will see a pattern
Hit the
emerge.
jackpot. So Tom just hit the jackpot. That $1 penny stock went up to $30. So
There you
he's
go.
gonna, he got lucky. He's not going to be in. He's
Right.
not going to have any problems. He can pay off that loan.
Yeah.
So what he's going to have? He's going to have like 80, 90 grand there.
I feel like a
Yeah.
proud dad moment.
See?
All right. So I'm going to sell this effer. So 22.40. And what was your math? You said 80.
Oh no, it's at $30, so it's going to be like
$3.
75, maybe
Ba-boom.
67.
Yep. All right. So now
you
let's
can
look at the
make it.
financial
You can do a repay.
repay. All right. And we'll go debt snowball style. Pay.
Yeah.
The lowest one first. The lowest one has the
lowest one.
10% rate on it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Got it.
So I wouldn't recommend paying everything off because you're still not going to get out of the rat race that way.
Gotcha.
You want to keep a big chunk of that 66 grand for a big deal.
Another opportunity.
So what should I pay? Should I leave it like that?
Yeah, I'd leave it that way.
Gotcha. Okay.
He
So
could pay
cash
off
is
everything, but there's still expenses that you won't be able to buy your way out of the rat race. Like you can't just pay down your expenses to zero.
Mhm.
If you look on the left on the expense column, there's taxes.
Mhm.
You can't ever pay those off so that you don't have to pay them each pay period. And one other thing, other expenses, $760, those won't go away even if you pay everything off.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had childcare expenses, which currently you don't on this game,
Mm-hmm.
those also would remain. So you basically you got to buy enough assets that throw off enough cash to get yourself out of the rat race.
Yeah, and I have to mention that it's funny when they it says you just gotta have a new kid in the family. You have to pay an extra $160 per month. Like, no, not in New York. It was like $160 a minute.
Yeah, it's a big.
Right.
big.
Oh, okay, so we're going for a big deal. Okay.
Mhm.
Call it, gentlemen. Fourplex for sale. Cost is $80,000. Cash flow would be $750. Pay $16,000 in a down payment.
Let's do it.
All right,
Let's do
Joseph,
it. Bye.
get it?
Bye.
All right,
You know
we
one
get
of
it.
the one of the thing that I don't see on this game. I mean, I'm not an expert at the game. When you own real estate, one of the, I don't want to say it's a cash flow thing, but we call it the phantom income, the ability to deduct the depreciation against your actual expense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In some cases, that creates positive cash flow for you. So
Right.
not because the initial number here is showing you that the cash flow is bad, mean that it's going to be bad. You gotta do a little bit more calculation and keeping better records to see if the real estate investment is worth jumping into. Sometimes you may not have positive cash flow for a few months, but you know the area and you know the area is in big demand right now, and you see the number heading in the right direction. So you can, you're buying with the hope of getting some equity in the not too distant future.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to go back to the rolling component. One moment, please.
If you enjoy a good sit-down restaurant with great Latin American cuisine, check out Fiesta Acapulco, located in Stony Point, New York. They offer empanadas, quesadillas, tacos, and more, with steak and shrimp all perfectly seasoned. You definitely don't want to miss this dining out with your friends or significant other in their great atmosphere. Fiesta Acapulco also has a catering hall for special events, accommodating 30 to 50 people for birthday parties or special occasions. Enjoy their vibrant nightlife on the weekends in a festive atmosphere featuring Latin American dance and music. Check them out online at www.fiestaacapulcony.com.
I'm not using a mouse on my computer right now. I'm just using the touchpad, so it's a little bit of the mouse usage generation. It's kind of like the fax machine for. It's like, by the way, actually, and Hopeton, you're in the tax space and financial many years. Again, for those of you that are checking in, you can go over to bfcteam.com. But in your travels, have you noticed that the fax machine, because I know the IRS and many traditional organizations have used that technology in the 80s and the 90s. Has it started to phase out in the financial circles over the last 10 years?
I haven't seen a fax machine in last 8, 10, 12, 15 years.
Finally, yes.
I use an online fax system.
Okay, yeah.
You send a fax to me and it comes as an email.
It's all digital, right?
Right, digital. So I print what I want. Mm-hmm. I think it's the same thing with the IRS also, because when I fax stuff to them, I have to tell them the area code it's coming from, and they will, look at it. So I haven't seen somebody using a real fax machine, dedicated fax machine, in a long time. I do have in my office though those multi-purpose stuff that I fax stuff for people. But on the other end, I haven't seen anybody receiving fax with the good old-fashioned dedicated fax machine.
That's good. Yeah, because it just eventually became another tool for advertisement. And I think, quite frankly, the information got lost in the fold. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and you get a bunch of junk fax every day that does waste your paper.
Yeah. So we're going to roll a few more times. I think we're going to start winding down. But again, for those of you that are checking in, you can check out Hopeton Scott at bfcteam.com. And what is that? You also have the tax consulting website, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, basically it's the same website. But you could always go to scottincometax.com, and you will learn more about the tax portion of my business. The BFC team. Business Financial Compass is my, it's a scottincometax.com. You'll find for the tax prep. The BFC team is my business advisory services, where I help small to medium-sized business have a growing and successful business by focusing really like what we're talking about, focusing on the drivers of cash flow. Mm-hmm. What are the drivers in your business that puts more money in your pocket, like the number of transactions you do on a yearly basis, the average price of your transaction, how many of your clients are you keeping, every year to year, what's your days sales outstanding, etc., etc. So the BFC team website will give you more information on that. The scottincometax.com is basically my tax prep website for people who just want to prepare their taxes.
Gotcha. And there's a client portal. You could also text Hopeton right from the website. So it's pretty darn amazing. We're just going to do a few more turns and see if we can pop out of the rat race really quick. So we're going to roll. We're going to roll again. And should we go for a big deal or a small deal, gentlemen?
Since we're about to end the game, let's go big.
Let's go big.
Let's go big or go home.
Big money, big money.
Yeah.
All right, we pick this up. Cash flow $950. Down payment is $40,000. We would end up with $11,000 sitting in the ledger. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, so if you're gonna add $950 to your cash flow, that looks like you'll be just short of leaving the rat race when you buy it.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. And own a piece of real estate.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna do that.
Yeah, that's Robert Kiyosaki's thing, or was.
Yeah.
Till he got into the Bitcoin gold space, Now, this is a negative cash flow.
Pass.
Yeah.
Unless you're planning to resell it.
Resell.
Right. Unless you're gonna knock him down and do something bigger. Right.
Distressed properties sort of thing, I guess.
Right.
All right. Keep on going big.
If you're looking to create a safer home, workplace, or community environment, check out KSI's Safety and Security Training. The owners at KSI focus on helping participants learn how to protect themselves. Then they take it a step further by showing them how to protect the ones they love and care about the most. Join their upcoming local CPR courses and subscribe to their free newsletter, The Tactical Citizen, as featured on rocklandnews.com. To get connected, visit ksiacademy.com or call 845-893-6155.
So this one would need a loan. I would pass on it, but let's see what the numbers are. Hold on. 34 and 28. Yeah, you still have to pass. If you want to get out of the rat race faster, you have
Okay.
to pass on
We're
it.
gonna pass. Do it again. And as you start playing this game more, ladies and gentlemen, it becomes interesting in a way that the learning of the financial intelligence, and that's really what we're going over today, is fun and enjoyable. And we also have a meeting that we do on Tuesdays over at the Stony Point Pancake Factory, and we play the cash flow game with several different members. Shout out to Julia Kushner, who spearheaded the Small Business Tuesday events over at the Stony Point Pancake Factory, and also LaToya from Alignable, who connected us with at least like a half a dozen new networking members. And it's come and go as you please. You hang out, and it's just very casual. So we hope to have you at a future event. Here's something: we could buy 20 acres for sale. Down payment $20,000. Thoughts, gentlemen?
If you're trying to get out of the rat race, zero cash flow, you'd pass.
Right. If your aim is to get out of cash, remember, raw land is not necessarily a good investment unless you have other plans. Right? So if you have plans, if you know development is going in that direction, and you can, even though there's zero cash flow, and you know that in a few months, somebody gonna want this land that you could reap big on, then yes. But in general, raw land is not a good investment, not helping you get out of the rat race.
Dig it. This one we're going to go, this is going to be an automated business for sale. The cash flow is $2,700, and just for the sake of time, shall we all agree to buy this and get out of the...
Let's buy it and end, because I got to run in a few.
Yeah. We kept you on for too long. We apologize. We're just way into
That's all right.
So we'll take out a little loan, all right?
Yeah.
But we're going to buy.
Yeah.
Bam! And that's it.
Look at that. See? Yeah.
All right.
And now you're in the big circle.
See?
Well, Hopeton, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for hanging out on the Rockland News podcast with me and Joe. And we'll hope to have you on for talking about vital issues around Rockland County, especially related to financial matters, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you that, again, want to learn more about Hopeton Scott, you can head to scottincometax.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, incometax.com. And upcoming seminars on financial peace and business success, you can check them out at bfc.com. Shout out to Vivian in London as well. Please tell her I said hello, Hopeton.
I surely will. I'll talk to her later. We have another deal going. All right.
Okay, great. Well, have a great weekend,
Tom.
everybody, and we'll see you next time on the Rockland News Podcast.
Thanks, Tom. Bye, Joe.
Bye, Hopeton.
Bye.
And that's all for this episode of the Rockland News Podcast. Just as a reminder, you can catch all the news that matters to you most at rocklandnews.com. Our team posts approximately 20 to 30 stories every week on a variety of matters around Rockland County, ranging from municipal to residential to business, as well as very interesting people, creators, musicians around Rockland County, New York. The podcast is also available over at Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And brand new, we are now live streaming almost every morning at 7:30 a.m., just the standard stuff, news, weather, and traffic, so that you can make informed decisions. My name is Tom Osa. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Hi, my name is Philip Retigliano, and I am excited to invite you to the Rockland Music Fest on the 27th of September to benefit Meals on Wheels, who is celebrating 50 years of service to the community. So come on out, have a good time for a great cause. Meals on Wheels would love to see you there. Thank you.